and environmental, yes, 100%.
Blasts were heard in Gaza as Israel resumed air and ground operations. No comment was made by the Israeli military till now. Prime Minister Netanyahu has said the operations will end with Israel controlling the Gaza Strip. The UN chief warned of the cruelest phase for Palestinians as the humanitarian situation deteriorates and aid remains low. Over a dozen aid trucks were looted in southern Gaza. Aid delivery remains low, with only a small fraction of necessary supplies reaching the region. Antonio Guterres called on Israel to allow more aid to enter. Let's listen to what he said.
The supplies, 160,000 pallets, enough to fill nearly 9,000 trucks, are waiting. This is my appeal for life-saving aid for the long-suffering people of Gaza. Let's do it right, and let's do it right away. Thank you.
On the ground in Gaza, families remain struggling with basic needs like food, water in short supply. The latest reports from Gaza's health ministry put the death toll since March at over 3,600 people, bringing the total number of lives lost in the conflict to more than 53,000, the majority of which are civilians. Syria has welcomed the U.S. decision to lift sanctions, calling it a positive step towards recovery. The move follows the end of Bashar al-Assad's regime and opens the door for new investments. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent stated the lifting aims to promote stability and prosperity in Syria. The decision announced by President Trump comes after pressure from Turkey and Saudi Arabia. Sanctions relief is conditional on Syria ensuring the safety of minorities as well as preventing terrorist havens. The U.S. State Department has also issued a waiver to allow foreign partners to support Syria's reconstruction, including essential services like electricity, water, and sanitation. With sanctions lifted, the U.S. aims to foster a new relationship and promote lasting peace. Outrage over George Floyd's killing by police catapulted Black Lives Matter into one of the largest protest movements in U.S. history, with angry crowds chanting the slogan at rallies from Los Angeles to Washington. But 5 years on, the protesters are gone and an iconic monument outside the White House has been erased, leaving many to wonder if the movement blew its chance for historic change by failing to win over the American public. Despite widespread revulsion at racism and police brutality in the wake of Floyd's May 2020 death, many turned away when BLM activists broadened their message to calling for the defunding of law enforcement. National support for the Black Lives Matter movement is now 52%, according to PEW research, down 15 percentage points since June 2020. A month after police officer Derek Chauvin killed Floyd during an arrest in Minneapolis, initially Floyd's death was hailed as a catalyst for a national reckoning similar to the 1960s civil rights movement. There have been police reforms in some states primarily focused on limiting the amount of force officers can use, as well as local programs to send unarmed responders instead of police to selected call-outs. However, many say these measures are insufficient. Now we move on to Europe. Germany police have arrested a woman after at least 12 people were injured in a knife attack at the main station in the northern city of Hamburg. Some of the injured sustained life-threatening injuries in the stabbing, although the exact number remained unclear. The suspect, police subsequently said, was a 39-year-old woman who was thought to have acted alone. The police has reported that investigations into the incident are running at full speed. However, the official has not given any indication of a possible motive. According to the German media, the attack took place around 6 p.m. in the middle of rush hour at the end of the working week. The suspect was thought to have carried out the attack against passengers at the station. Images of the scene showed access to the platforms at one end of the station blocked off by police and people being loaded into waiting ambulances. Some of the victims in the attack were being treated on board waiting trains in the station. Bild reported, Germany has been rocked in recent months by a series of violent attacks with often jihadist or far-right extremist motivations that have put security at the top of the agenda. The most recent on Sunday saw 4 people were injured in a stabbing at a bar in the city of Bielefeld. Considering these events, the question of security and the immigrant origin of many of the attackers was a major topic during Germany's recent election campaign. In the latest turn of events in India-Pakistan conflict, India has accused Pakistan of sponsoring decades of terror attacks, including the 2008 Mumbai attacks and the recent massacre of tourists in Pahalgam, during a strong statement delivered at the United Nations Security Council. Speaking at an open debate on the protection of civilians in armed conflict, India's permanent representative to the UN Ambassador Parvatanan Harish slammed Pakistan for making baseless allegations and pointed to a long history of cross-border terrorism backed by Islamabad. He stated that the primary targets of Pak-sponsored attacks have been civilians, with the clear intent of undermining India's progress, prosperity, and morale. The envoy asserted that Pakistan's participation in a discussion on civilian protection is a direct affront to the international community, given its record of supporting terror groups that target non-combatants. The comments come in the wake of heightened tensions between the two nations after the Pahalgam terror attack, which claimed 26 lives. India responded by conducting precise airstrikes on terror infrastructure located inside of Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir on May 7th. In retaliation, Pakistan launched attempts to target Indian military installations on May 8th, 9th, and 10th. Indian forces responded firmly to these attempts. The escalation on the ground came to a halt after both sides reached an understanding on May 10th following talks between their military commanders.